The NBA is a league built on drama, passion, and competition. But what happens when the integrity of the game is called into question? In the mid-2000s, the scandal rocks the league to its core, implicating one of its own. This is the story of how one man's actions exposed cracks in the NBA's officiating system and left fans questioning the fairness of the game they loved. And before we get into today's video, make sure you guys like and subscribe to stay in the know about everything NBA. I really do appreciate you guys for clicking on the video, and let's go ahead into the content. Tim Donaghy was a respected NBA referee who officiated over 700 games in his career, but behind the scenes he was gambling on the very games he officiated. In 2007, the FBI launched an investigation into the allegations that Donaghy was betting on NBA games and influencing outcomes. What they uncovered shocked the sports world. Donaghy admitted to betting on games he officiated during the 2005 and 2006 season and the 2006 and 2007 seasons. He provided inside information to gamblers, including player injuries, team dynamics, and how referees would officiate certain players or teams. Donaghy's betting partners made millions based off of his tips, while Donaghy received payments in return. Donaghy's confession detailed how even the smallest referee decisions, a foul here, a non-call there, could shift the momentum of a game. While Donaghy claimed he didn't directly fix games, the influence of his knowledge and decisions became undeniable. While Donaghy's actions were shocking, they also raised questions about the NBA's officiating system. Critics pointed out inconsistencies in refereeing, favoritism towards star players, and possible league influences over outcomes. Donaghy claimed the league encouraged certain outcomes to extend playoff series for higher revenue. He alleged that star players received favorable calls to enhance TV ratings and fan engagement. The NBA strongly denied these claims, but the scandal left a stain on the league's reputation. Even before Donaghy's confession, the NBA's officiating had faced criticism. Fans often debated home court advantage calls and questionable fouls, but the scandal amplified these doubts, making them harder to ignore. The NBA acted swiftly to contain the damage. Commissioner David Stern labeled Donaghy as a rogue official, emphasizing that his actions were isolated and did not reflect a system corruption. The NBA introduced reforms to restore confidence in officiating. They enhanced monitoring of referees' performance and behavior, a strict ban on gambling for all league employees, including referees, greater transparency in officiating, including video reviews and public reports on calls, and in 2014, the NBA Replay Center was established, allowing for real-time reviews of controversial plays. This innovation aimed to ensure fairness and accuracy in crucial moments, and even nowadays, what we see now is the NBA goes through the last 2 minutes of every game to make sure that every call is correct, and if it wasn't, then they kind of take the blame for basically the referees not making the correct decision. For many fans, the scandal left a lingering sense of distrust. Were other referees involved? Could similar incidents happen again? The NBA's efforts to restore integrity have helped, but some wounds have never fully healed. Fans continue to debate controversial calls and referee performance, especially online. And even looking at the MLB, there's something called umpire sports cards on Twitter, where they actually grade the umpires based off of how well they did. And this is going into basketball now, where people are just absolutely bombarding these referees. Right now, we see conspiracy theories about the league manipulating outcomes, and on top of that, these scandals are actually inspiring books, documentaries, and discussions about ethics in sports. Even now, over a decade later, fans scrutinize referees' decisions, especially during high-stake playoff games. The phrase "the refs are rigged" has become a common refrain on social media, showing that doubt lingers in the minds of some basketball enthusiasts, and not even basketball, right? We just talked about MLB, but also the NFL. We see this with someone like Patrick Mahomes, who people think get a lot of calls because obviously the refs want to protect Mahomes because he is the face of the NFL, right? The Donaghy scandal has also had a profound impact on players. Many questioned how often the games they might have played in were influenced by officiating bias or external factors. Some players like Rasheed Wallace, long vocal about officiating inconsistencies, felt vindicated by the revelations. Others worried about how the scandal might tarnish their accomplishments or question the validity of their losses. Former NBA star Chris Webber, whose Sacramento Kings lost a controversial Game 6 in the 2002 Western Conference Finals, reignited debates about whether that game was officiated fairly, and to be honest with y'all, it probably wasn't. Going back and looking at the film, it definitely seemed like the Kings should have won that series, but anyway, for players, trust in the referees is definitely crucial, and the scandal fractured that trust, leading to strained relationships between officials and athletes that took years to repair it and is still being repaired today, and honestly, it's still also being broken. The Tim Donaghy scandal wasn't the first time a major sport faced crisis of integrity, and it likely won't be the last. Across leagues and eras, the intersection of sports and gambling has often created controversy, right? Looking more in depth on the MLB, the 1919 Black Sox scandal saw 8 MLB players accused of throwing the World Series for money. The Pete Rose, baseball's all-time league hits leader, was banned for betting on games while managing the Cincinnati Reds, and this is why he currently isn't in the Hall of Fame. And the NFL Deflategate questioned the legitimacy of the New England Patriots' success, as well as questioning legitimacy of Tom Brady as a quarterback. Is he really the GOAT, right? And these scandals share a common thread. They challenge the essence of competition and the idea that what unfolds on the court or on the field is purely decided by athletes. There's way too much rigging going on right now, and I think that that's really something that needs to be shown more in journalism and sports. Much of what we know about the Donaghy scandal came from investigative journalism. Reporters tirelessly followed leads, interviewed sources, and uncovered the layers of deception around the case. Media outlets like the New York Times and ESPN conducted in-depth investigations. Journalists highlighted how gambling culture infiltrated professional sports. Their work brought transparency and accountability to a story that might have remained buried. And to be honest with y'all, I think that if there is more journalism like we were just talking about, I think that we can uncover more of these scandals, right? And I think that there's definitely a lot more going on than what we think, right? And this scandal in particular underscored the importance of free press and holding powerful institutions accountable. Without it, the truth of Donaghy's actions and their implications for the NBA might have never come to light. And on top of that, if this never came to light, we would never really maybe question what is going on in certain leagues, right? Like we talked about with Patrick Mahomes. I'm sure that, you know, a lot of people would be really questioning, is this really a scandal or is this a coincidence, I guess? The Donaghy scandal forced the NBA to confront uncomfortable truths about its officiating system, but it also became a catalyst for change. Like we talked about before, enhanced technology like the replay center has improved accuracy and reduced errors. Transparency innovations such as the last 2-minute reports, like we talked about before as well, provide insight into controversial calls. The NBA continues to invest in referee training to ensure consistency and fairness. On top of that, we've seen the coaches challenge, something that is new, and I think they can add on, to be honest with you. I think that you should get more challenges than just 1 or 2 a game, really. And while the league has made progress, the scandal serves as a reminder to the vigilance required to maintain the integrity of professional sports. The NBA's commitment to improving the game shows that even in the moments of crisis, there's an opportunity to build something stronger, and that the NBA is really willing to make this league global, which they are doing, and really spread the game of basketball. Tim Donaghy's actions were a betrayal of the NBA and its fans, but his story also served as a wake-up call for the league to improve its system and protect the integrity of the game. While the scandal cast a shadow over the NBA, it also led to reforms that made the league stronger and more transparent. And on top of that, fans now have an active voice in social media and journalism and other sports, and I think that this is really kind of the foundation of where we saw this really take off, right? I think the lessons of Donaghy's scandal are going to remain a reminder of how precious the trust between the league, its players, and its fans truly is, and without that trust, how much of, you know, the NBA is gonna like break apart, really. I think that without that trust, there's nothing that the NBA can do really to try to intermingle and get more people to watch the game. Alright, y'all, and that is the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed this deep dive into one of the NBA's darkest chapters, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your comments down below. Do you think the league has fully recovered from the Tim Donaghy scandal? Let us know. I really don't think it has yet. You know, I think that every sports league across the entire nation, really, there's a lot of questioning going on with sports and refereeing and officiating, and I do agree that gambling is one of the main issues here, right? Like I just said, if you guys made it throughout this whole video, I do appreciate y'all, and I'll see you guys next week.